This is James Logan High School in Union City, the site of the Bay Philharmonic Holiday Spectacular, conducted by Jung Ho Pak. Primetime Entertainment and Backline Source in Livermore, California, produce hundreds of shows throughout California and Nevada every year. In addition to event production and management, Primetime Entertainment also provides high-fidelity sound systems and public address systems for any occasion, from a small private event to tens of thousands of people at a festival. They have an experienced team of audio engineers and recording engineers, of which I am one, and here's a link to my website if you want to find out more about my background. But in a nutshell, in my career, which began at age 16 in Los Angeles, I've produced or been involved in over 4,000 events or productions. The goal of this video is to show you what is involved in reinforcing the acoustic sound of a symphony orchestra, a rock band, and live vocalists all together. You are hearing the live recording of the performance of the Bay Philharmonic, taken straight from the sound console to a flash drive, 2 tracks left and right with no post-production whatsoever. What you are hearing is exactly what was coming out of the speakers for the performances. Of course, not every instrument requires the same amount of amplification. A piccolo and a large tympanic drum, for example. So this recording will be lacking in the best possible balance as compared to a multi-track recording remix. The reason that the recording is so complete is because we used a total of 36 transducers into our Midas X32 console. For some of the dynamic microphones, we combined them with XLR splitters. We used both condenser and dynamic microphones, as well as a few direct boxes and line-level sources, such as pre-recordings and projection audio. Working with my A2 and co-engineer Nick, we planned out our inputs before we loaded the truck with our gear. Here is a list of all the instruments and sound sources used for the Bay Philharmonic. We had 2 microphones for the conductor, a wired SM58, and an SM58 on a UR transmitter. We had 2 live vocal wireless handheld mics. We had 2 transducers in the Steinway D Concert Grand, an SM91 boundary mic, and an SM58 dynamic in the sound hole. There was also an 88-key Kurzweil electric keyboard, a trap set, which are drums including bass, snare, toms, hi-hat, and cymbals. We just had 2 mics on those, an SM57 on the snare, and a 52 on the bass drum. We had an electric guitar with an amplifier and a Sennheiser 609 on the amplifier speaker, a bass guitar with an amplifier run through a DI, and 1 pencil condenser mic over the percussion section. For the horns, we had SM57s and 58s, including French horns, tuba, the brass trumpets, trombones. For the reeds, saxophone and clarinet. For the woodwinds, we used pencil condensers for the oboe and the bassoon, the flute, piccolo. For the contrabass section, we had SM57s. That's the workhorse of sound. The cello section had a large diaphragm condenser. The viola, violins 1 and violins 2 all had pencil condenser microphones. Each of these instruments have individual settings that are specific to the instrument and the transducer used. Most important are gain staging, equalization, dynamics, effects, and panning. Both the amplification and recording are in stereo, as reflected by the location of the instruments on the stage. The idea is to make it sound natural, acoustic, and not amplified. Now that you've seen the setup of the Bay Philharmonic, it's on to the art of mixing. This is where the artistry lies, in live vocal, orchestral, and amplified band sound mixing. Since there are so many transducers, on a smaller digital multi-page console, you need to know where everything is instantly. Hence my use of board tapes on the otherwise digitally labeled desk. So I've made cues and indicators to help me find things quickly. Also, using DCAs is essential. And now here's a detailed look at how I use DCAs to mix the show, by grouping them according to things that I will need to bring up and down individually. The first DCA colored red, is the rock band with the traps, the electric bass, and the electric guitar. Following that are the keyboards, both the electric and the acoustic grand piano. Then comes the vocals, including the conductor's talk mic and the two lead vocal singers. Then the orchestra with the strings, the violins, and the violas, followed by the cello and the contrabass. DCA number 6 is for the woodwinds. That's including the saxophone, the oboe, and the bassoon. Then the horns, the French horns, the tuba, the trumpets, and the trombones. And finally, DCA number 8 is for the choir downstage. And now let's listen to a few cuts from the Holiday Spectacular show performed by the Bay Philharmonic under the direction of Jung-ho Park.
But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. The fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbying. But as long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.